Welcome to another episode of Hermetically Speaking, the birth of the tarot and humanity with it. A quick check-in and shout-out, though, before we begin. How about this energy, y'all? I'm finding it to be wildly healing and leaving me in a complete space of, what the hell am I supposed to be doing? Because I have no clue. Anyways, don't know if anybody else can relate to that or not, but I did have some great help this past weekend. Cliff, he is an amazing Hellenistic reader who studies astrology and Enochian, and he helped me navigate a lot of this journey and what's to come and some future endeavors. I highly recommend. He's absolutely wonderful, very thorough. And I will, of course, put all of his information in the info on this podcast, but you can find him at yourlightbridge.com or enochian.today on socials. Needless to say, I am now looking forward to the challenges that are coming up over the next 6 months and birthing something completely new as this podcast and anything else that comes up. A slowdown is definitely necessary. And so these eclipses and these retrogrades are all settling me in for a very uncomfortable change of pace. So we'll see how it goes. Today's episode is not a topic of astrology, though. That was just my introductory ramblings and a loving shout out of gratitudinal bliss. Today, I'd like to discuss the inner makings of the tarot paired with the makings of our physical bodies. This is a translucent download I received a few summers ago, and I've loved looking it over and embodying it ever since. It's been coming up more and more recently as well, so I figured why not throw it out here into the podcast world. To explain it simplistically would be to compare it to the Bible, except that the major arcana are the story of our creation throughout the cosmos and the infinite number and types of beings that contributed to it and their own story of our creation. Now, I know that's a whole lot to unpack from one very convoluted sentence, so I'm going to work on breaking it down throughout this episode and unpacking various components of it for an understanding that hopefully helps. We'll start with the zygote. A zygote is a single cell that forms when a sperm cell fertilizes an egg cell, and it contains all the genetic information necessary to create a new human being. Chromosomes play a crucial role in this process, and it's quite simple to Google search or ask a doctor about the scientific role that they currently know. Yet, there is much scientists don't know that is within these chromosomes. In addition, there's also the energetic bodies of these chromosomes, which scientists report nothing on. Anything energetic, because nothing can be proven, But anyways, in humans, each zygote contains 46 chromosomes, 23 from the mother's egg cell and 23 from the father's sperm cell. These chromosomes are organized into 23 pairs, and each pair contains 2 chromosomes with similar genetic information. 1 chromosome in each pair comes from the mother and the other from the father. We carry these chromosomes with us throughout life, and it is one of the main reasons we inherit our ancestral line, or the house. This is also why telepathy to our ancestral line can be stronger than outside sources at times. We have a direct tie to them through these chromosomes. What about our most ancient universal ancestors, though? That is what I am leading us to now. The chromosomes in the zygote contain all of the genetic information necessary for the development of a new being. They carry the genes that determine an individual's physical traits. Eye color, hair color, height, 9th grade science, 8th grade maybe. I don't even remember, I'm too old. Anyways, as well as their susceptibility to certain diseases. Now, disease comes in all forms. Since energy is all forms, therefore mental, spiritual, physical, sexual, emotional, and so on. The truth is, though, that we can choose what belongs to us and what to transmute. While this means removing a lot of clutter created by the density within the human race, it is possible. We can jump down this rabbit hole together on a different episode, though. For now, we'll move on. What scientists don't understand or convey are the energetic bodies of this system and the auric fields that surround them with a mass of universal information that is also being passed down through the cells. Each individual chromatic cell is inherently attached to a major arcanic card of the tarot. Pretty freaking amazing. I know. The zygote is important because it is the beginning of evolution that passes down genetic and generational information throughout the ages. Therefore, it's simple science to say that the chromosomes in the zygote contain all the genetic information necessary to create a new being, and they play a crucial role in the transmission of genetic information from one generation to the next. It's spiritual science, though, to understand that these chromosomes also hold the knowing to our entire existence and birth on this planet. This is, ironically enough, where the seventh principle of gender, also known as generational, comes into play. One of the many ways, I should say. That 23rd chromosome in each pair of zygotes stands for the gender of the being to come. Generational is another brief term for knowledge and information being transmitted or passed on. The other 22 of those chromosomes stands for the major arcana. The major arcana tell a story of humanity and its creation in so many ways. Each arcana also represents a galactic race that contributed to the making of our DNA and where we stem from. Pun intended. Get it? Stem cells. Some of those contributions are apparent, such as the reptilian stage our bodies go through and the reptilian brain that we have. These are just two core components that make us up and that we know about. It's very symbolic and necessary that they were named these things to give us inclusion to a deeper understanding. Now, the reptilian species gets dubbed a really bad name, as well as a lot of horror stories and experiences and experiments gone wrong. Well, this, my friends, us as a species, is something they contributed to that they helped get right. And we are a prized species in this universe. Now, given this beautiful infinite universe, the major arcana within our chromosomes can be worked somewhat to like the Hebrew language, except instead of creating, we have a story that has already been created and is being transmitted into us, ingraining our paths, our journeys, and how we rise and fall like the tides. It is a beautiful mandala of how we all receive this intermediary information of our creation. As time progresses, this understanding will expand and progress as well. The story of the tarot from the Fool to the world is the story of us and our creation. Now, to convolute it a bit more, while still trying to keep it simple, there is interwovency of experiences held by these galactic nations and energetic beings. And all of this is in those major 22 within us and those beautiful cards we render so dear. We reflect them. We are the story of them, just on a higher level than we recently understood. And they went through this multiple times, just as we do. There are also ways that the tarot cards are activating certain chromosomes in the transformation and elevation of our DNA. There will be workers that can track this understanding and convey this information to us. There is also the inner knowing within us as well. If we look for the bridges and the facts, we all know that the intuitive knowing for each one of us individually is there. The transmission I received was very clear, that the major arcana was the rise, fall, heal, rise, and all the different phases that the councils of beings went through in crafting our DNA and humans ultimately into beings. There is a reason our DNA is a 95% match to apes, and that a blood transfusion from an ape can help save a human's life, or vice versa. I'm still personally wrapping my head around that whole aspect. I've sat with and known for quite some time that we were test tube babies of various alien races and beings, and it was, most recently tied into a pretty pink package for me is how I can put it. And what else test tubes implied? Which, if you want some more resources on this, I highly recommend Dolores Cannon's book, 3 Waves of Volunteers and the New Earth, as well as listening to anything that Richard Rudd talks about with Gene Keys. This ancient knowledge is deep within our DNA, the knowing that we are a blend of many universal species as well as an earthly one. Deemed one of the universe's most important projects, we are very special. Now, are they harvesting us? No fear or threat of that here. We are an amazing accomplishment for the councils of the universe, and they went through many trials and experiences themselves trying to get us just right. Just read the story of the tarot, the justice, the temperance, the tower, death, the Fool, the Hierophant, the Empress, all of them so beautifully interwoven. We know the story of our creation. It is ingrained so deeply in us, and it is ingrained in history. And they gifted us with such a beautiful visual of being able to depict it, but also the millions and millions of cycles, just really infinite. Might as well just go with infinite on any number. The infinite number of cycles that we will all expand and go through to accomplish the ascension of this planet. So, just as we reflect ourselves onto one another, we also reflect the story of our creation. Human history recorded is done so in symbolic manners that not only hide the truths of our origin, but keep it hidden until the frequency prevails enough to hold and adorn itself in the light once again. Dis-ease has riddled the planet for long enough. And while nothing in the universe is an accident, and God wills all, including dis-ease, this is another bit of information provided to help us all on our transmutable way. On the next episode of Hermetically Speaking, we will be working through the 7 principles of Hermetics and the way they are showing up on the earthly plane, which happens to be in reverse, at least from my perspective. It will be an exciting and informative episode and an all-inclusive look as to how polarity and Hermetic vibration work in the rise and fall, back and forth, give and take, and all the many ways we portray energetic relationships with everything in existence. Until next time, be well and much love. If you'd like to book a reading, please head on over to hermeticallyspeaking.com or email me directly at toria@hermeticallyspeaking.com. Namaste.